Thumbs up. Great. Perfect. Okay. Welcome to volunteer orientation at the Good Acre. Thank you all for joining us today. If you've been with us before, I appreciate you in. A lot of this is going to be really familiar, but we have switched up the structure and timing of volunteering this year. So there is some new information in here. I am Sarah Hovseth. I'm a development manager here at the Good Acre, and I'm joined by Hannah Tanberg, who is our facilities manager, and she is going to do the second half of our training, talking just about food safety and warehouse safety at the facility. If you have questions while we're going along, go ahead and pop them in the chat. If we don't see them right away, we'll be sure to get to them before the end. So really quick, I'm just going to give a brief overview of TGA and the Farm Share program. So our mission is to connect and strengthen farmers, food makers, and communities through good food. We do that in a wide variety of ways. So our programs and services support our local food system, and that is going to include Farm Share, which is what we're going to talk about today. That's where we primarily utilize our volunteers. Our wholesale program, LEAF, which is the Local Emergency Assistance Farmer Fund, our warehouse facility, which is home to roughly 60 small food businesses and farmers throughout the year who utilize us as their business home. Our grower support program, where we provide one-on-one free technical assistance to any and all growers that work with us. And then our shared use commercial kitchen. So we're doing a lot in our local food system in our small but mighty space. And the space that we're most excited to share with all of our volunteers is the Farm Share program. So the Farm Share program was the very first program that TGA launched as a way to work directly with farmers to provide them with contracted sales. TGA is unique in that the majority of our sales with farmers are through planned contracts, which gives farmers a chance to plan really efficiently for the season and know that the food that they are growing has an outlet. So during those winter months, a lot of people think we must just take a big long break. We do not. We are still very busy working on forecasting for the next year and sitting down with farmers and planning out what they want to grow, when it's going to be delivered, how much they're getting paid for it, and making sure that contract that feels good for their farm business. So the Farm Share program runs weeks from mid-June through mid-October, and there's roughly 500 members. So members pay at the beginning of the season, and then at the start of the season, they start getting their boxes for 18 weeks. We have pickup sites all across the Twin Cities, but roughly 250 to 300 of our Farm Share members pick up at TGA. We offer all sorts of add-ons like eggs and bread and honey, meat and cheese, all those sort of additional local agriculture and small food business items. And then we also offer other Farm Share programs. So we have a harvest season share, and that starts in August or September and goes through November. And that's a smaller box. And then our late season share is bi-weekly in November and December. We also offer a couple of other boxes throughout the season, like our specialty grilling boxes, which are once a month during the season. So you'll get a chance to see a lot of different produce and programs within the Farm Share. There we go. So volunteer activities, what actually happens? So Farm Share packing is the bulk of where we rely on our volunteers. It's just a sort of similar to like a standard meal box packing. It's the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So we do pack every single Tuesday, but we have set aside some dates. We're trying to be really consistent with dates that are for like corporate groups that want to come in and volunteer. And then the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month will be for our community-based volunteers. There is one month for sure that has a fifth Tuesday, so that that day will also be open for our community volunteers. Volunteering is going to be in the afternoon this year from 1 to 4 o'clock. That's a change from last year. And our volunteers will be helping to build all of the wax boxes. So we actually have to build the boxes that the produce goes in. And then we weigh and bag all of the produce that needs to, like if we get lettuce in bulk or potatoes, we portion those out into individual sizes. And then we assemble all of the off-site boxes. So that's also a change from last year. All of the boxes that get delivered out of our facility, those will be packed and ready to go so that members can just pick them up from, if I'm picking up at the food building, I can just walk in and grab my box. If members are picking up at TGA, we actually will have that assembly line essentially set up for members to pack their own box. And this is really to save on time and efficiency so that our warehouse can function more efficiently and we can move things through a little bit faster. So again, the farm share packing is on Tuesday afternoons this year from 1 to 4 o'clock. And this is really a key part of our mission. I mentioned that farm share was the very first program we ever launched. And we've grown significantly. That first year we had less than 100 households. So this is one of the key ways where we're able to deeply invest in our farm community, primarily with our growers of color. And so your support makes this program possible. The other opportunity that we have to volunteer is with Farm Share Pickup, which is on Wednesdays at the Good Acre. And there's 2 shifts that are available that day, 10:30 to 1:30, and then 2:30 to 6 o'clock. And with that, you're going to be helping members pack up their boxes, restock items when they run out, if we're out of eggs, making sure we get those, keeping the space nice and clean. And this takes place outside, just outside the TGA facility. I am going to just pause for a second. And does anybody have any questions about the specific volunteer activities before we jump into some of the food and warehouse safety? You can go ahead and pop them in the chat or unmute yourself if you're comfortable.
I have one quick question. Are there any weekend volunteer opportunities or shifts, or is it just during the week?
Yeah, unless there's some sort of special event going on or miscellaneous activity that pops up, typically we only have availability during the week. There is the possibility that we might add on an evening shift on Tuesdays once our harvest share gets started. With the new way that we're packing boxes this year, it's hard for us to know exactly how much time it's going to take. And when we add on that second share later in the season, it's possible we may need to add on like a shift from like 4 to 6 o'clock or something to help cover that. So that's to be determined. But otherwise, yes, it's during the weekdays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays is our standard availability. This is just a picture of what the warehouse looks like when all the boxes are assembled and sort of how the facility functions with farm share packing. And as you can see, the boxes take up a lot of space. We used to, for those of you that aren't familiar, we used to build all of these boxes on Monday, so they were ready to go on Tuesday. And you can see it takes up a lot of space. It really slows down the efficiency in the building. And so, yeah, with this year, like I mentioned, new format, we feel pretty confident about the way that we've set it up and the timing on it. But if you join us during those first few weeks, just know that there might be a couple of like hiccups trying to get things sorted out. And so just, coming ready to be patient and flexible is what we ask. I'm going to turn it over to Hannah, who can talk a little bit more about our warehouse safety.
All right, thanks, Sarah. So as Sarah was saying, we have a lot of different small businesses that use our warehouse space. So the main importance with, warehouse safety is to know your surroundings and know that there's a bunch of people in and out of the Good Acre space. Now, while you're all packing on Tuesdays, that is like we'll still be receiving produce from farmers a lot at our dock doors. So when you come in your first day of orientation or first day of volunteering, you'll see kind of the layout. But a lot of things are meant, like, we know you're packing on Tuesday, so we'll try to stay out of your way as well. A lot of that with like the forklift and some of our operations team. So big thing is heavy lifting. So there are going to be some cases that are going to be 50 pounds, especially when we get into the squash and onion season. So just making sure to use your best judgment and always ask for assistance. I think team lifting's the way to go. So definitely don't hesitate to ask and try not to do things on your own. We'll have enough volunteers on site, and also there'll always be 2 staff members with you packing. So we'll be able to help as well. When you come into the space on your volunteer days, you'll see that there's basically a designated area for where you'll do a lot of your weighing of produce and where you're going to pack the boxes. It's not quite marked on the floor, but we'll get more tape laid down on floor tape of where to stand. But mostly you're going to kind of be in that middle area with that first picture that we had of the warehouse. So you'll have, and again, 2 staff members will always be on site to help orient you. Be mindful it's fully functioning warehouse. So you will be seeing people in pallet jacks. We have some PPE noise canceling things because there will be loud noises like pallet jacks and the forklift. Definitely our warehouse sounds that you'll hear a lot, as well as pallets stacking and unstacking. We also have safety goggles, anything you'll need for safety wise. You probably won't need to, but we do. Hearing protection is the one I think of. That's an easy one to get. Pallet jacks and forklifts are to be used by staff only. I wouldn't foresee any needing of volunteers to use the pallet jack. There'll always be staff to help move the product where we need, and then you're all going to be more the weighing and the putting things into boxes that are already laid out. For attire, when you show up for your shift, make sure that you have closed-toed shoes on. It's not a requirement to have steel toe, but you want something that feels safe to you. Yeah, some people wear their Crocs, but theirs are also kind of squishy. You just want to protect those toes. Especially if even a pallet on the toes can hurt. So protect your feet. Comfortable and clean work clothes. I always wear, it kind of depends. You can wear shorts. I always end up wearing jeans too. Our warehouse kind of stays at in the summer, 60 degrees. So that's the temperature, and you won't have to go into the coolers. So just dress for that, 60 degrees, I'd say. And then no jewelry besides a wedding band. Or if you have earrings that really hug, we can't have any dangles, nothing loose, for fear of it, mostly for fear of it falling into the box that you're packing, but also just so it doesn't get hooked on anything. So really just limiting, we have an area in the warehouse where you can put your belongings, little cubby holes. So you'll always have a spot to just if you wear jewelry in, have a spot to take it off. Another requirement is that your hair is pulled back, or at least that you have a hat on. So something that just keeps the hair out of your face. Trying our best not to have anyone open their box and get some hair in it. So that's the main attire. Yeah, go ahead. So food safety. The main thing with food safety is wash your hands. Wash your hands all the time. Wash your hands if you touch your phone. Wash your hands if you take a break. We have a hand washing station right where the area you'll be working with. So it'll always be fully stocked with soap, paper towels. And we have also 2 restrooms on site, many places to wash your hands. Of course, you want to recognize that you'll need a break and take a step away, that's totally fine. I think the main thing is just making sure that like when you're handling product, this is kind of different. Like if you're building boxes, it's not as important, but it's really just when you're touching the food that you want to make sure you have clean hands. We have gloves on site too that we use. Some volunteers, we don't require you to wear the gloves. Some volunteers like to though, so those are always going to be an option as well. We have designated eating areas. Of course, when it's summertime, it's so nice out. So taking breaks outside of the warehouse is preferable for eating, or also we have a break area in a different, not the warehouse facility. Water bottles must have a lid on it for the spillage. We don't want anything to spill, and no glass in the warehouse. We don't want any ball jars or none of that, just for fear of glass breaking. Don't want to clean that up. Another rule, just if you're sick, just stay home. Like we so appreciate you coming in, but also don't need to come in. If you're feeling remotely ill, that's the like first step of prevention. Just don't come in if you're sick. A big thing with food safety too, as you're packing, is we're going to always keep things off the floor. So if we're done using like a produce box, we'll still have it up. We'll have pallets all around. So the pallets are 6 inches off the floor. We always want to keep that gap from like any produce hitting the floor. Any produce that hits the floor is compost, essentially, just to keep our ducks in a row with food safety. Expectations is notify Sarah if you're going to miss your shift. And there's no volunteer minimums. If you're able to come, that's great. I think Sarah probably will go over these expectations. Maybe I can pass it off. Yeah, I think that's the main thing to cover with food safety. So we're good.
Yeah. On that note of if you're sick, stay home, just let me know. You can send me an email. My contact information is going to be all over this PowerPoint, and the emails that you've been getting are from me. You can always reach out if you have questions, or if you're going to miss your shift. There's no minimum. So if you just make it one time, that's great. If you want to come every single, second and fourth Tuesday of the month, that's also fabulous. And then, just being prepared for the weather and physical activity. So particularly with, if you're helping with the box distribution on those Wednesdays, just knowing that it's outside. We are in like a covered area. So you're not, if it's raining, you have something to protect you, but just dressing for the weather. And then also, as Hannah mentioned, the warehouse is actually fairly cool during the summer. And so I always dress in layers and bring a sweater so that if I get warm, I can take it off. Let me get that last one. So now that we've completed orientation, tomorrow morning, you're going to get an email that has the link to actually sign up for open volunteer spots. We send out those emails once a month. So right now you'll be able to see the full month coming up for volunteer availability. In a few weeks, we'll send out the next email that has upcoming availability. So you'll get those roughly once a month. If there's all of a sudden like people couldn't show up and we have a whole bunch of availability, we might send out a like urgent call saying we need somebody this week. If you're available, you can sign up. But otherwise, it's going to be on a pretty standard schedule. This orientation was also recorded. So in the email that goes out tomorrow morning, this recording will be in there as well as these PowerPoint slides. So if you wanted to share them with somebody, if you have a friend that you want to volunteer with, you can feel free to share this with them. And then they are also welcome to get signed up. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that we can open it up to any other questions. The one last thing I wanted to say, and I know some of you are returning volunteers, so you're already privy to this insider information, but one of the biggest perks to volunteering with the farm share is that you get to bring home any of the excess produce from the share. So, or like Hannah mentioned, if a rogue carrot falls on the floor, that's fair game. You don't have to take it, but we try to make sure that we're minimizing as much food waste as possible. So if there is excess produce from the farm share, you get to bring it home. And I think one of my favorite things about getting volunteers in, especially getting new farm share volunteers in, is that TGA, I think the number is 80. I think we had 80 different varieties of produce in our farm share box last year. And so it's also just an opportunity for community members to be exposed to new types of food and get recipe ideas and build community. We get a pretty consistent group of volunteers in throughout the season, and it's really fun to get to know everybody and have sort of that consistency during the summer. So with that, does anybody have any questions that I didn't cover? Or if you're a returning volunteer, is there something that's really important for people to know that I did not cover?
Looks like Cheryl has her hand up.
Yeah, I'll just ask my super silly question. I have a half-inch buzz cut and I never know what to do about the hat or hair pulled back. Like,
Oh,
do I
yeah.
put a hat on this? I really don't have any hair.
Nah, you're good. You're good. So hat if you want to, for sure.
Okay,
But
hat.
yeah, not necessary. It's kind of more for the long-haired folk.
Question about Wednesday duties again? Yes. So Wednesdays, there are 2 shifts available. And again, you'll see this in the sign up sheet, and then you'll also see it in the overview tomorrow. But there's 2 shifts, one from 10:30 to 1:30, and then 2:30 to 6 o'clock. That is going to be helping the farm share members who pick up their boxes on site at TGA get all of their produce. So the change with the model this year is that anyone who picks up at TGA is basically going to be building their own box, and that's to save time and energy for all of us, and allows us to serve more farm share members. So if there's a lot of people coming, it might be helping people, for example, and returning farm share members will know this, but like when there's bulk carrots that people need to grab, sometimes it is cumbersome for people to grab enough carrots and get them in the box. So helping to sort of speed up that flow, getting things prepped for people, but also refilling any of the things that are getting low. So if we're running out of eggs, grabbing more eggs. Eggs isn't a great example because you'd have to go into the cooler, but bread is a great example. We've run out of the bread add-on and we need to restock. So restocking those items, keeping the area clean. So breaking down the boxes that are coming in. Farm share members also return their boxes. We reuse the wax boxes as much as we can for our farm share members. So breaking those down, keeping them stocked and tidied, and then really just greeting farm share members and answering questions that they might have. So that's the Wednesday duties. And for those Wednesdays, it's less critical that people are there for like the entirety of the volunteer shift. Like if you need to leave a half an hour early, usually that can be accommodated. For the farm share packing on Tuesdays, it is important that you're able to be there for the entire time, just because you get set up in a station. And so if you have to leave, we have to fill your spot in. So if that's going to be an issue for anybody, I just ask that you let me know ahead of time so that we can make sure we've got enough capacity. Yeah, Tuesdays, we are packing all the boxes that go off-site. So anyone who doesn't pick up their box at TGA, so we've got around a dozen pickup sites around the Twin Cities. Those boxes are all being pre-packed so that for members who are picking up at Northern Fires or the food table or the food building, they can just go in and grab their box and go. It's all of the members that are picking up at TGA that will be sort of doing the build your own box model. Any last questions before we sign off here? Okay. All right. I'm sticking to my 3:30 time. So I know that was really quick and brief. I hope to see most or all of you in the building this year and look forward to having more conversations about food and our community. You will see that email tomorrow in your inbox with the sign up information. Kathy, good last question here. There will be tables set up with all of the boxes on it for people to grab their items. So part of what I guess it's one last note, part of what you'll be helping with if you come on Wednesdays at that first spot is helping to get all of that set up, making sure that everything is prepped and ready to go for FarmShare members. So, okay, with that, I'm going to wrap things up. I really appreciate everybody taking a little bit of time out of their day to be here, and excited for the growing season to be kicking off.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.